Hi, everybody. This is John Eimen welcoming you to Pop Culture Addicts.
Our guest today is John Eimen. John is a former child star that was in nearly every piece of important pop culture television during the 1950s and 60s. John has been kind enough to join us today, and he's going to share some stories and answer some questions about his work in acting. Welcome to the show, John.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad to be with you.
We are excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks.
So, as we were talking about in the pre-show, Kathleen and I are hosts on another show along with our good friend Nick. We host another show called the Funny Science Fiction Podcast. Now, in that show, we talk about all things sci-fi and superhero and fantasy related. But when I was doing research for today's conversation with you, I noticed that you were on an episode of one of the original Twilight Zone episodes hosted by Rod Serling. So what I'm hoping here is, John, is that you can tell us about the episode that you were in. And from what I also understand, that you have a pretty interesting How I Got to Meet Rod Serling story. Could you share those both?
Oh, certainly. The episode I did was called The Fugitive, and that was with Susan Gordon, little blonde-haired girl, and Nancy Culp was in the episode as well, Nancy Culp from the Beverly Hillbillies. J. Pat O'Malley, one of the great character actors of that period. And I played the pitcher during the first 5 minutes of the show. We're on a sand lot playing baseball, and I'm the pitcher. There's an old gentleman who's J. Pat O'Malley who is on the sidelines there, and he gets up and he hits the ball. I pitch to him and he hits the ball. He hits it completely out of the park. This was filmed at Griffith Park in Los Angeles. And after that, we decide to play monsters. And in this part, the little girl plays a princess. Another kid actor who's well known, Stephen Talbot, who played Gilbert on Leave It to Beaver. He was also in the episode. So we're going to play monsters, and we pretend to have ray guns. And the old gentleman goes behind the bush, and he comes out as a monster. So it turns out that he can change into any shape he wants. The reason it's called The Fugitive is because he comes from another planet where he's the king, and he wanted to get away from there. So he came to Earth, and he befriends this little girl who has trouble with her, like, mean stepmother or whatever, mean aunt, I guess she really is. And so she doesn't have a very good life. Also, she has something on her. She has one leg is lame, so she has a cast on her leg. And in any event, we do that little bit at the beginning of the episode where he comes out as a monster, and right after that is the Rod Serling part where he introduces the episode. And he's sitting on a bench right off that sand lot, and he's going to tell you what's going to happen in the episode. But what happened, actually, we filmed our scene, and we're getting ready to do another one when the little girl, Susan Gordon, she started to feel faint. And everybody was worried about her. So they called for, they took her to a clinic to have her looked at. And so production shut down for about an hour. And during that time, Rod Serling, who was waiting on the sidelines to do his little introduction, he's just sitting there having a smoke. And although there are other kids there too, I'm the only one who went over to him and started talking to him. And nothing big, just hi, I love the show and that sort of thing. And he's a very nice guy, kind of down to earth, and very nice. We only talked for a minute, but it was a big deal to me because I was already familiar with the show. Mm-hmm. And one funny thing, though, is I was about 10, and just after we stopped talking, he stood up for a second, and I realized he wasn't much taller than me. He was a rather small guy, and I thought, hey, pretty cool. I guess even if I don't grow up physically, I can still be a big shot in other ways, maybe someday.
Well, there you go.
But the follow-up, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think they've always placed him really well on camera because
Yeah.
I never understood or realized rather that he was of smaller stature. So
Yeah, well, the follow-up to that was, I mean, just 2 years ago, I got contacted by the Rittenhouse Publications. They do trading cards, like for the Game of Thrones and
okay,
many other series, and they did the original set of cards for the Twilight Zone. And they decided to come out with an updated, well, a bunch of newer cards that are signed. And they reached out to me to sign 500 cards with my picture on it. It says the pitcher,
Mhm.
and their official Twilight Zone cards. And so I signed them, and I got a little money for doing it. It was like, uh, something out of just out of nowhere, completely out of nowhere. I got a little money for it, and it was pretty cool after all these years. And the cards are now available. They're either a part of a set, or I looked on eBay. I think I'm worth about $11.50 now, meaning
Hey,
$11.50. Yeah,
that's
I'm,
still
I'm
cool.
I know I'm not Martin Landau. That would have been the 1100, but
Right.
11.50, I'll take it. But
hey,
of
in
course,
Michigan, you're worth 3 gallons of gas, buddy.
yeah,
So
that's it. So yeah, so I did that, and that was just a real kick to do something like that, and that's pretty much the only science fiction-y type show I did. Uh, Others though, like the first episode of Leave It to Beaver, I did the very
right,
first one back in '56, and I was on the series called McKeever and the Colonel
right.
back in the early '60s, where I was on that every week as Cadet Monk. And another one, I just sent you a couple of emails with a few pictures, but
Yeah,
one of them,
I just saw those.
oh, good. And one of them was not the acting, but the modeling part when I was about 9 years old as the Milk Mustache Kid.
Oh my
And that's
For
goodness.
kind of
Carnation, yeah.
yeah, that's kind of an iconic picture there.
Yes, it is.
That's awesome. So as a quick Google search, you said that Rod Serling was not much taller than you. He was 5'4".
5'4", yeah,
He's
figures.
the same height as my mom.
I did
Yeah.
not realize he was short of stature. That was
I never would have guessed that he was that short. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I had a similar experience like that when I was doing the series McKeever and the Colonel, where the kid who played McKeever, Scott Lane, he and I were going into the studio commissary at 4 Star Studios. And just as we're about to walk in, right next to us comes Sammy Davis Jr. And here's another one who's not much taller than we were. He was a little guy, but what
Yeah.
a talent. And
Absolutely.
again, and a very nice guy too.
That's awesome. So on the same topic of Twilight Zone, because
Yeah.
I love that show.
Oh,
I have
yeah,
always loved that show.
me too.
Everybody that I've ever talked to has either their favorite episode or the episode that absolutely terrifies them. And personally, my favorite episode is Night Call. The woman that gets the anonymous phone call and then finds out the telephone line had been over the grave of her dead fiance.
Ooh, I don't remember that one.
Oh
Gosh.
my word. It is seriously creepy. It is my favorite episode.
Wow.
Close second is the monsters are due on Mayberry Street, or yeah, monsters. I don't know what it's called now. Anyway, so being a Twilight Zone fan as well,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite episode?
Oh gosh, it's tough to say. I guess everybody points out the one about the what was the exact name? Well, about the one to serve man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the very climactic ending to the episode. That one always sticks out in my memory. And of course, the others, like the William Shatner one, where Terror at 30,000 feet or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And that one kind of rings out to me because, following my career in TV and working in bands and teaching in Japan for 10 years, after that, I became a flight attendant with Northwest Airlines, and we eventually merged with Delta. I just retired a year ago.
Oh wow.
But I was there for 25 years. So
Oh, wow.
That particular episode kind of sticks out to all of us. What are
Yeah.
we going to do now if somebody's out on the wing or a passenger says, there's something going on out there? How shall we
There's
react?
something on the wing.
wing,
And I
yes.
again, because this is what I do during our shows,
Mhm.
I Googled. It's the
Yeah.
monsters are on due on Maple Street. It's the other-
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that it's Maple something. Yeah,
So is Monsters on Maple Street?
the monsters are due on Maple Street.
Monsters are due on Maple Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
All right.
I've seen all the episodes, and I've got a couple of those books about
Mhm.
each of the episodes, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I get mentioned only because my name was in the credits. That's as far as I got with that. But
Hey,
the other
but you're in there.
funny thing about this, and this happened to me a few times, is misspelling of my last name. It's Eimen, Eimen, and in the credits on Twilight Zone and on a few other shows, they spelled it Eiman.
Oh, yeah.
So that became an issue with these cards they were having me sign for Twilight Zone. In that the first card they sent me to sign, it was Eiman. And then I wrote back and said, oh, it's actually Eimen. And they said, well, we can redo them. I said, you know what? There are so many cases with actors of all kinds who they'll have different names they might use. John Eimen, Johnny Eimen.
Mhm.
So this misspelling isn't that big a deal to me. And I said, since that's how it appeared in the credits, it's probably better to keep it as Eiman, even if that's not correct, because collectors might go back and watch that episode and say, hey, now what's going on here?
Right.
So for that case, I'm Eiman. That's
right.
cool with me. I'm fine with that.
Hey, and there's not very many of us, by the way, John, who get to say we have a trading card.
Yeah, I know.
with-
I'm a collectible.
That's right. That's awesome. One day I will have a Funko Pop made of me, whether I have to pay for it or not.
I think I just need a T-shirt that says I'm a collectible now.
Yeah,
There you go.
And I'm also a collectible for that milk mustache thing. That's also on eBay for $10, I think. And and the episode of Life magazine, I think, is a little bit more, because it was a full page in Life magazine in 1959, and it was one of the only color pages in the whole issue.
Ooh, that's impressive. They spent ink on you.
Yeah,
Exactly. Colored ink. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So, John, let's talk about something other than your acting for a moment, because up until today, I had no idea that you were a musician.
Yeah, I played in bands for a long, long time, from about the age of 15. So when I got into high school, I wasn't working that much in acting. Occasionally, I'd get a part here and there, but I really wanted to play in bands after the advent of the Beatles. I decided to get into garage bandom, and it was interesting that one guy who again reached out to me. I could hardly play a chord at that point. Was a kid named Tony Peluso. And you probably don't recognize the name, but anyway, he became the lead guitarist for the Carpenters later on.
Oh,
But
okay.
he invited me to be in his little garage band. And we played parties all over the San Fernando Valley and at Blessed Sacrament Church for the Cairo Club dances for high school kids. And
Nice.
we played these. And then later on, I was in a band with Whitey from Leave It to Beaver and Stanley Fafara. And we got a commercial for Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes where we're playing. And the funny thing is, his mom kind of helped us get that gig. And then he didn't get to be in the darn commercial because he was the drummer, and they decided to have Tony the Tiger as the drummer. So,
oh, that's funny.
And later on,
guy.
Later I was in like supper club type bands, a trio with a very good singer. Then in Japan, I played weekly for almost the whole 10 years I was there. I played in little clubs once a week, playing solo, singing, and guitar. Mostly stuff like James Taylor and John Denver, that kind of thing. And people liked it because they were listening to English, and this was Japan. And the good thing for me was if I screwed up the lyrics, nobody caught it anyway.
Nobody
There you go.
knows.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I noticed you have a YouTube page for
Yeah.
your personal music that you had made, and so if you saw a spike in some of your numbers today, that was because I was going around and listening to different songs that you had done over the years. So other than the Beatles, what else piqued your interest in starting with music, and what was your inspiration behind doing what you do now?
So it's interesting too that, well, of course, early on it was the Beatles. It was mainly the Beatles. Being in LA at the time too, I was able to go to the Hollywood Bowl and see them,
Oh,
go
nice.
to the concert for the Rolling Stones. We had another club in Hollywood. I can't think of the name offhand, but anyway, the Doors played there when they were first starting out.
Mhm.
People like Donovan played in a little
Oh,
tiny
nice.
cafe. All these different people were there, and you could go and see them, and you could actually be really close to them. A place like Doug Weston's The Troubadour, it had a seating capacity of like 400 people tops,
Mhm.
and you could be right up next to these great people, Joni Mitchell and some other greats, and it was just such an exciting time in the 60s to be able to
Yeah.
do that.
Oh,
Now, more recently, though, in 2003, we finally bought our first house. And this was, we were both in our mid 50s, my wife and I. And finally, we were getting our own house. And in this new house, I could dedicate one room to just doing music. I got a 16-track digital recording workstation. And
Ooh,
yeah, and I got a rinky-dink little keyboard, but it could duplicate certain sounds. So almost everything you heard me doing was basically off of that Casio, and
Sure,
the
sure.
guitar and stuff like that. And this again gave me the incentive, finally having that space to myself where I could try to create some songs. Up until that time, up until my mid 50s, I think I'd written 2 or 3 songs. And then after I got that room, I wrote over 100 more. So,
I'll
you
say
know,
there's quite a few on the YouTube channel to listen to.
yeah, quantity over, well, no, let's not go there. But, and there were only a couple that were like studio done. One is semi-autobiographical. That was called I'll Take Today, Any Day. That was
Mhm.
actually recorded in Nashville and originally sung by a different person. He sent me a copy where I could take his voice out and put mine in. And I did that probably if you'd heard that one. But it was about, looking back on those days, great times, but still I'd take today any day kind
Sure.
of theme.
I think the one that I enjoyed the most, I think it's called Guilty as Hell.
Oh, yeah.
That one kind of made me chuckle.
Yeah, well, I was trying to think, now what can I do that's not too sweet and too warm and fuzzy. So I thought I'd try something like that. And whenever I had an issue like that, I always went to my sister and said, "How about this for an idea for a song?" She said, "It's already been done. It's on the stations right now, but I don't listen to country western," or I didn't at that time at all. And she said, "No, that song's already been taken. Let's try a different name or something." And I came up with Guilty as Hell, case closed.
That's the
And
other half of it right
yeah.
there. Case closed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good chuckle. I enjoyed that one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so
So
looking,
go ahead.
sorry. Well,
Go
looking
ahead.
through all of the music stuff that you've done, and you've mentioned some pretty big names.
Uh,
I also, from what I understand, you got to work with Frank Sinatra, or at least near Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I sure did. And that's funny too, because again, when I was a little kid, he was going to do a special. Frank Sinatra. He had a weekly show, actually. One week it might
Mhm.
be a drama, and then next week it might be a live performance. And he did a one, I think it was around Thanksgiving time, uh, and it was at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood, an old historic really cool theater, and it was a live performance. And his guest was Dean Martin.
Oh my goodness, that would have
So
been amazing.
yeah, and I was just a little kid, but I of course knew them. They were so big. Of
Sure.
course, I would know them even at 6 or 7 years old. And I got to watch them rehearse, which was cool because I discovered that the lines that were supposedly extemporaneous were well rehearsed
Aha.
between the songs. And but it was cool. And my little thing was he did again a pretty famous song called "That's America to Me," and I think it's called, actual title might be "The House I Live In."
Mm-hmm.
But he's singing this, and I'm on the stage with my back to the audience, kind of looking up at the statue, and he's over just on the side singing this song, and the howdy and the handshake and this and that. But anyway, so I'm up there on the stage, and my big challenge is to not dart off the stage in the middle of the song. I'm 6 years old.
Right.
So, not pee in my pants, not do anything inappropriate. And that was my deal. But the nice thing for me was just being able to, see him and Dean Martin and to do a live show like that. And I had another one similar to that, which was the Danny Kaye special.
Oh my gosh.
With Louis Armstrong. So I got to meet both of them.
I love Danny Kaye so much.
Incredible. And Louis Armstrong too. And they did When the Saints Go Marching In.
Yeah.
My gosh. Yeah, that one's still on YouTube now, but my part in the show is not, because it's a commercial segment where he finishes singing that song and he walks over to the side and he does this like 2-minute commercial for GM. And I'm one of the kids that he's explaining about the different models of GM cars. And so I've got 3 or 4 lines, and a couple other kids about the same. But I got to meet him and Louis Armstrong and watch the rehearsals again as a little kid. And that was filmed at the CBS Center, right off of Fairfax. And the neat thing, the special thing about that too for me was it's very nerve-wracking to do live. It's scary compared to most of the things I did were filmed, where you mess up, you do it again, and all is forgiven. But this is live, so I was afraid. And they told me in advance. They said, "Now, number one, don't bug him just before he starts this special, because he's focusing on getting everything right." So of course, that wasn't a problem. But then number 2 thing they said to me is, he might not give you the correct line. He might not give you the cue you're expecting. Because I'm going, and what about the suspension on the, on the Lincoln, whatever. And so I said one of my lines, and then he came back with something way out of left field. And I'm a kid, but I came up with something. I worked in what I was supposed to say, despite that.
That would be kind of hard to be like, no, I've been told these are the lines, and then to throw you off like that.
Yeah.
Get ready even looking for one particular thing, and he zigs when you're expecting a zag. Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's Danny Kaye, so at the same time you learn to expect the spontaneity, but goodness.
I know, but as a little kid, I wasn't as adept maybe as some of the other people he would work with as adults and expect that from. But I was fine. I got through it somehow.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the shows that you were in were pretty popular at the time, but it wasn't until recently that they were available to most people unless they had the DVD copies of them.
Yeah, I know.
Now with streaming services, these shows can make a comeback. So do you think that our ability to watch these classic shows with the convenience of the streaming, what do you think about that? And has that had an impact on your life now?
Well, the fun thing for me is if I go to those stations early in the day and look up what shows are going to be on later in the day. Sometimes I'll see, hey, that's a Wagon Train I did back in 1962. And I'll tell my Facebook friends or whatever, I say, I'm going to be on TV tonight, what, 50 years later, 60 years later. And that's happened with the Twilight Zone. Of course, that's on all the time.
Mhm.
Wagon Train, The Rebel, Have Gun Will Travel, a lot of these shows. And of course, Leave It to Beaver. That's another one that's on all the time. So if I happen to catch one, it is going to be on. I'll pop that onto my Facebook page and say, here I come again. Couldn't
Mhm.
get rid of me that easy.
Do you find them often on the streaming services as well, like Netflix or Hulu or things like that? Do you find your shows out there, or is it just on like specialty channels like I think of amazing like Nickelodeon's TV Land or Nick at Night, things like that?
Yeah, and WeTV and all those
Oh yeah, yeah.
others. Yeah, there are quite a few nostalgia channels. And in addition to that, YouTube has quite a few of them as well.
Oh sure.
Yeah, and I even found I forget what show. I think it was Twilight Zone where I found a, a version of that episode in Spanish. And
Oh.
one of my best old friends, Mexican American guy from way back when we were kids, I said, I bet you didn't realize I learned Spanish that well. Yeah, stuff like that. It's fun. And to this day, to have neat little things like that pop up is really nice.
I bet. So one more question for you, John.
Yeah.
And it kind of in a different lane here, real quick to end on. But now a lot of articles are written about and TV interviews with former child stars where after they got done acting, life did not go that well for them. And so I'm not asking you to comment on any of those stories and what those other child actors went through. But what was life like for you after you were done acting? And do you feel that you benefited or your life was hindered because of your early acting?
Oh gosh, the last show I ever did was a show called Love American Style, and that's like 1970 or so.
Okay.
And this one I was supposed to have a couple of lines, not a big part, and I took it just for the paycheck because I was about 18, 19 at the time,
Sure.
and I could use that little bit of money. So I took it. I got to the studio and they cut out my lines. So basically I was like an extra. And after, 15, 16 years in the business, I was feeling, oh boy, this isn't going anywhere. And I didn't think I had the wherewithal to keep going on and on and on with not such great prospects, perhaps. And
Okay.
also at this time, I was in school at LA Valley College in the theater arts department. So kind of trying to figure out where I might fit in as an adult. And I was 19. That's where I met up with Ed Begley Jr. and we became good friends. Yeah. So we're friends to this day. We still talk a lot. But we were both starting out in theater arts there. Just both of us had just turned 18 at almost the same time. He's 2 weeks older than me. But I'm seeing him and I'm seeing Michael Richards also in one of my things, Kramer from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And person after person, you could really see their potential going into the future and the kind of work they could do as professional actors and writers too. One guy wrote that movie Falling Down. Michael Douglas did. And another person wrote the movie about the Lost Boys. And I was in school with all these people in theater arts. And I thought, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be in the same class as these people, even though I was there in the same class with them at school. Right. I could just see their motivation was different too. They would kill to work. And I'd been through 15 years of it. It wasn't my life, but I'm thinking, what can I do? And I was doing music. I got into the music stuff so I could do that. Even in theater arts, I was mainly doing music for different productions, background guitar for certain scenes in productions at Valley College and all this stuff. And following that, of course, I was in the garage band with Ed Begley Jr. and we played a party at Don Drysdale's Dugout, a bar in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And this is 1960. I think it was 68 going into 69. But it was the New Year's Eve party. And as soon as we started playing, in walks Sonny and Cher. So we got to back up Sonny and Cher on a song. And, you know, I'm thinking maybe music is the way to go from now on. Maybe I'll have more potential to continue as an adult. So I did do that for a number of years until I met the girl who was going to be my wife, who was from Japan, studying English in LA, ended up going to Japan to meet her family. And I was going to be there for 1 month. I ended up being there 10 years. And so, you know, my life was just going in different directions, you know, following that Love American Style episode. So I was pleased. I was fine with it. It's like a lot of things I did in my life. I was so happy I had those experiences, but it's not like I wanted to continue doing them forever. You know, even the flight attendant thing, I loved it. Traveling to different countries all the time and, you know, having so many great experiences there. At 71, I was ready to hang up my wings. And right when COVID hit, I said, "Oh, you know what? I think I'm done here." So
I can imagine that.
Don't blame me for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So
That's
that's my
excellent.
story.
It's a good
Excellent.
story.
It's a good story.
Thanks.
You know, a lot of times when we talk with people who have had, you know, these careers in different forms of pop culture, it doesn't always end well. And there's always, you know, sometimes you hear really nice stories, and sometimes you hear stories that kind of make you grit your teeth a little bit. But yours is a nice story. It's got a nice ending to it. And it's got a happy ending.
Yeah,
and it's so nice.
I always say too, and I haven't robbed a liquor store in ages.
Hey.
Well, see that right there, winning. You already won, John.
Yeah.
You know, John,
this has been a lot of fun.
We have enjoyed having you so much on the show.
Thank you.
Do you have places where our listeners can find out more about your work and anything you've got coming out?
Yeah, you know, as far as Facebook goes, I have 2 accounts, but the one that I use today is John Allen Eimen, ALAN, John Allen Eimen. And I put up stuff all the time, a lot of old pictures, pages from scripts, advertisements, different things I was involved in, as well as things from my other parts of my life, the music, the travel, the photography in Japan or wherever I might have been. So I put a lot of stuff up there on Facebook under John Allen Eimen. Also YouTube, of course, under John Eimen.
Sure.
I have a lot of my songs. And again, for a long time, I was making those clips or little basic slideshow presentations of some of my songs. And in addition to that, I would also put up little, again, slideshows from different shows I was on with selected pictures, mainly featuring myself, yours truly,
Sure.
from those episodes. And so there's a lot of stuff like The Untouchables and some other series I did episodes of. And so all of that stuff's up on YouTube. And then, of course, the regular Google search turns up 3 or 4 pages of stuff from the IMDb to whatever else there was.
Awesome.
So there's a wealth of information.
Yeah, we are definitely going to put those in our description so that our viewers and our listeners can find you and enjoy the pictures.
Thank you.
And your music.
Now, the great thing is we're only scratching the surface with all the possible stories that are out there for John Eimen. And we want to remind you that if you go out and you look at these things, you're going to be, especially go check out his YouTube page. I found it really entertaining. I subscribed today. I suggest that you guys subscribe to him as well. And speaking of subscriptions, want to make sure that you understand that subscribing to Pop Culture Addicts is the single most important thing you can do with your day. It helps us ensure that we get more great guests like John Eimen here. Let's try that again. Like John Eimen.
Whatever.
E-I-M-E-N. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. To help ensure that we get more great guests like I cannot talk. Holy cow. It is such a good thing this is being edited. And John, our John is going to have so much fun editing this because I'm pretty sure I have slaughtered that little note there. All right. One more try. Third time's the charm. All right. To ensure that we get more amazing guests like John Eimen here, and we have great conversations for you to listen to, please subscribe. It's going to help more than you'll ever know.
Oh, boy.
And remember, kids, pop culture, it's all around you. It's influencing you every step of the way. Be sure to come back next week. We'll have your fix here waiting for you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Come back next week.
Bye.
Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Pop Culture Addicts. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@pcapod.com.